Hey everyone, it's your friend Jeremy Greer. I'm here to tell you what all of the cool kids are doing, which is going to patreon.com/Duckfeed.tv and pledging some small amount of money or large amount of money to support the network. Doing this lets us create new shows and lets us keep on going with the existing ones that we have and is very much appreciated. So if you want to do that and get some cool stuff in return, go to patreon.com/Duckfeed.tv. I'm Jeremy Greer.
And I'm Gary Butterfield.
And this is Days of Future Cast, the podcast where Gary and I cover every single episode of X-Men, the animated series. And we're back. We're ostensibly in season 4 still, I guess.
It's in original air order, even though like everywhere calls these the premiere of season 5.
Yeah, like if you bought the DVDs, this is the beginning of the 5th volume. But if you look at the intended order, we're at the end of season 4, so none of it makes sense, and I've kind of stopped caring at this point because none of these episodes are making a whole lot of sense, or like, and they tie into each other in weird ways. Like they do call back in some stuff. Like we're going to get and not in this episode, but in the next episode, we're going to get a whole Nightcrawler episode.
Well, we're not going to get a Nightcrawler, but this episode has callbacks as well.
Oh yeah, that is true. Yeah, that it does.
Yeah,
yeah.
We're finally like closing the loop on the guy who hung out with the wild man in Borneo.
Finally,
back in But I think the reason why they do that season split is because what it means is the 5th season of this show that we cover this thing is going to be like 6 episodes. It's like it's almost nothing.
It's not a lot though. Yeah. And if you just so you guys know that are listening, we usually do a feedback episode at the end of these seasons because our last season is going to be so tiny. We're going to save up all of our feedback for the end of that series. So if you have questions or prompts or thoughts about season 4, go ahead and get them in at daysoffuturecast.com/contact. I'll save them. I've got a document that I add all of that stuff to, but we're not going to start reading that stuff until after the end of X-Men the animated series, and we're going to let you guys know. We have a long time before that happens, so we're going to let you guys know what we're covering next. So just kind of hang tight. We're gonna get all that stuff outlined for you, so you'll know what media to go purchase, so you can watch along with the show.
Yes, yeah, we talked about that before we recorded, and because we were talking about that, I didn't ask. How you doing, Jeremy?
I'm doing really well. It's the beginning of a new year. I'm back to work, unfortunately, but also fortunately, I'm really busy at my day job, which is good. I'm not doing any more housework, which is also good. We're off for a little while. I think the next thing we'll do is like the next time we have a guest, like we'll have a project. That's how we work things. It's like, oh, somebody's coming in to stay with us. Let's rebuild the shower or hang some paintings or some shit like that. So that'll be fun. But otherwise, I'm doing great. How about yourself? Yeah,
I'm not sick.
Okay,
yeah,
not sick
for the first time since we've recorded. I don't feel ill.
Good.
But and then just I'm doing medium
in general.
Medium. Yeah, like
well, after
real C-.
After recording 200 hours worth of podcasts about The Witcher 3, like I don't know how you can live a normal life anymore. It's just
it's all post Witcher now. I was worried about that too, but then we started recording again because of timey-wiminess. Like when we're recording, this has no relation to when episodes come out and stuff.
Sure.
So we finally came up for air, but there's some good stuff. We figured out the second live show. Like I'm not quite ready to announce it, but it's the non-PRG live show, and we figured out what we're doing for that. And that's good.
In Jeremy's garage. So come on down, everybody.
We have fallen on hard times.
It's going to be, there's going to be a booth for WAF, a booth for Retronauts, not staffed by anybody from Retronauts.
Yeah, just an empty table. So we can... And then a 12-piece band playing the Monster of the Week theme song.
Yep.
On a repeat in the opposite corner when we're trying to do our talk. Yeah.
And a Cajun guy selling boudin. That's gonna be it.
Oh man!
Bring out your Gambit cosplayers, everybody. That's what we're looking for.
I will. Man, these episodes that we're talking about today, like we're talking about this again. Also, past the thing. I think we're past the point where we're getting real good episodes.
Yeah, I don't
like Sanctuary.
I think
were the last like real good ones, and I don't think we get any more.
I don't think we have any left, Gary. Like as I'm looking through our list of what we have to cover, and it's some of the stuff that I've been dreading. Like I'm going to be interested in seeing like the Wolverine World War II stuff, just because I think Captain America is going to be really weird in this show. And I'm also looking to see how they end it. Like Graduation Day seems like it's going to be interesting, but I look at things like Jubilee's Fairy Tale Theater and I just cringe. I'm not interested in this whatsoever.
Yeah, like there's stuff. Everything we're talking about today is not the worst of the worst. Like it's like there's interesting things about it, but it's just like they've run out of palatable X-Men stuff. Like things that just make sense. So part of this is like I understand what's going on in these 2 episodes, but only because I have the comics as a guide. This is like, can you just imagine turning this on and it's just like, who the fuck are these guys? Like, what is this about?
I don't have to imagine because it happened in my house this week. I had this on, and I don't, Autumn listens to this show, but she doesn't actually watch the episodes with me, and because like, why would she? She has so many other things to do in her life that are not watching cartoons from the 1990s, and but she happened to be like in the house and like running around doing stuff, preparing for a business trip. And I had this on and I was making notes, and she just stopped and would look, and she'd look at me and go like, "What the fuck is this?" She's like, I kind of know about X-Men just from being married to you and, knowing some stuff about the X-Men, but none of this makes sense at all. And it got even worse when she was watching the next episode of the podcast, the Stormfront stuff with Storm.
That is definitely from a different series, and they just put the X-Men in here. Like that one is about as non-X-Men as you can get. This one, so these 2 episodes that we're covering today, we're covering Phalanx Covenant Part 1 and 2, which is one, like it's a comic that I read when it came out. Like read the entire crossover. Is the first like Marvel crossover that I didn't read in trade that like I collected. So I was like going collecting fucking Excalibur issues.
Oh god.
And stuff. I was expanding my comic buying to get this trade, which is what they want. It's also the thing that in the comics creates Generation X. Like Generation X band together to fight the Phalanx, and then that's how they start the second school with Banshee as the headmaster and stuff. It's pretty cool. In the show, they have to like hand wave most of that because they're not going to like introduce Generation X.
They're not going to put a show within a show, you mean?
Yeah, they're not going to show us up in it. So what we get instead is this like, I feel like it's just a variation on what we've had in this cartoon a bunch of times, which is this alien race invading to try to take the powers of all mutants, because that just happened. Like we had the Not Brood show up with Cody, like pretty recently, doing a very similar plan to this.
Yeah, and I mean, and like we've had this. It feels like we have tread through these waters where we have our villains teaming up with our heroes to fight off an external threat from Earth. And man, I am just so tired of it. And this one, like I like Warlock as a character a lot from the New Mutants and stuff. I like that dude a lot in the comics, but here he's just bad. Like I don't like the animation. I don't like the voice. I don't really like anything about this dude.
You don't get to, like, in the comics, you don't listen to his voice. Like, this is probably what his voice is like. It's the same voice that Jay does on the Jay and Miles Explain the X-Men podcast. Like, it's the same kind of thing.
Oh, is it? I have dropped off that podcast for.
Oh, I have too. This was like 2 years ago.
Oh, okay.
But they were getting to the Warlock stuff. And it's the same voice that they use there. It's extremely annoying. Like every time Warlock is talking, I like, it's like the worst, dumbest voice. And like you read something and you're like, okay, they're making him sound like a robot. So he keeps saying like, like I like Warlock. Warlock has always been a little like, what is this thing called love?
Yeah.
Like like a little like, robot assimilating to Earth nonsense. Like, but self-friend not understand. Like, why is there not peace? Like just like coming in and asking the Starman questions that are supposed to be, have childlike innocence that hold a mirror up to, the corrupt adult world.
If Warlock came out in 2018, Waypoint would already have a whole article about whether or not he fucks or not, right?
Yeah, none of that innocence would exist. So he's very annoying in this cartoon. The biggest thing I notice is that we finally have like a competitor for Table Boy in the form of Warleg.
Oh man, I'm so glad. I was blown away when I saw Warleg because Jesus Christ,
Warleg is the best Like, it just like the undignification of shapeshifters in this show is a theme over these 2 episodes. It's a big theme in the next episode too, with that one with the Nightcrawler callback. Like, if you are a shapeshifter in this cartoon, you get nothing.
It would be a lot like if if they made Mystique transform into a real doll. Like, it's just that bad. It's that kind of removal of agency. It's ridiculous. And also, like, this whole team is full of superheroes. Just someone pick up Forge so he can walk.
Yeah, it doesn't seem like maybe the super strong, super agile guy that you have.
Yeah.
That you could just have carry them, because this whole episode, it's not like Beast is doing a whole lot. Like, these are the least superhero-y episodes of the show. Like, this is just Nerd Squad goes and does research for 2 episodes. Like, it
really is.
Nerd Squad plus Warleg, like, get together, do nerd shit for like 60 minutes.
And then Sinister shows up, and it turns out to be the giantest nerd of them all.
Yeah, he's the biggest nerd that there is. It's like get our nerdiest villain to team up with our nerdiest heroes to like come up with a computer math problem that actually kills the villain.
This is how I found out that Mr. Sinister has a Tumblr blog where he spells his name S-Y in Sinister. Because he's that fucking edgy, man. Like this, he's that dorky in this thing. God, it's crazy.
It's amazing. We will definitely get to Warleg. I love Warleg, and I hope that Warleg makes a gif here. Cause
he definitely will.
So we're the same age, but it might have been regional. Do you remember a commercial when you were growing up for seatbelts where the dad like decides like instead of giving his kid a seatbelt, he'll just hold him, and he goes, "Click, I'll be your safety belt." Like the kid's like, "Dad, I gotta put on my seatbelt." Click, I'll be your. Like he says, "Click," and he says, "Weird, I'll be your safety belt." I feel like that's
real weird.
That's shapeshifters in this cartoon. Like just like, okay, I'll be your leg. Okay, I'll be your operating table. Okay, I'll be just like they're just volunteering to fill the role of inanimate objects. Not that a leg is inanimate. But.
I actually went through a windshield of a car in that exact same scenario that you're describing because I was young and my grandmother was holding me in the front seat because I wanted to be in the front seat so I could see everything. Someone pulled in front of us and my grandfather hit the brakes and I went straight through the windshield as a kid. And of course,
holy shit,
I was a kid, so like I just bounced off basically. I had like a scratch on my I still have like a scar on my back somewhere from it, but yeah, it's not. I wasn't, heinously hurt or anything, but yeah, that exact same situation. I guess I didn't need the after school special on it. I was like, yeah, no, I got it.
Amazing. That's crazy.
Yeah, unsafe stuff in the South. It's
well, that's just. I mean, I've talked about before on the things with my dad taking me and my friend to like me riding in the back of a truck like down a highway.
Oh
or
yeah,
like how he was going to take me and my friend to Great America, but then in the back of his truck, and then my friend's mom, who like definitely did not trust my like skis bag criminal father, loaned him their car so their son could not sit in the back of a pickup truck, for like an hour and a half down a highway. Like there's tons of unsafe shit that I did. I've told this story. It's been a long time, but like one time my dad and my friend was coming out to visit for the weekend. Like I was going to go visit my dad for the weekend and my friend came along. And speaking of just unsafe shit, I was looking in the back of a video game magazine. They used to have these old ads for Funko Land where they'd have like NES games and their prices. And they're just black and white, super plain. It was awesome. Like super small text. It's like, oh, that game's like $4. I got to get that,
Mm-hmm.
And I wanted to get Uninvited for the NES, and I needed $2 extra. And I was like, asked my friend Eric, I'm like, loan me $2. And Eric, he's like, I'm not gonna loan you $2. I was like, loan me $2. And I got this game. He's like, I'm not gonna do that. And then my dad, who's just like listening to these two kids argue, goes like, give my son $2. Give my son $2. and
damn,
Eric's
Dad.
like, Eric, like good on him. Like it was like, I'm not gonna do that. And then my dad goes like, loan my son $2 or I'm gonna hit that pole. And we're like driving down the highway and there are those little like reflector signs.
Wow.
And like Eric's like, I'm not going to do it. And then my dad did it. Like he swerved off the road, hit one of those like reflector signs, like knocked it down, like put a big dent in the front of his fucking truck.
Are you serious?
And then drove back. Yeah. Yeah. No joke. I've told that story. It might have been a while because it's like, it's a classic.
Jesus Christ, Gary. Classic, that's terrifying.
Yeah, man. It's super terrifying, man. Like, well, yeah, I have an extremely abusive upbringing. Abusive, like, there's a lot of weird shit, I guess is what I'm saying. But like that definitely happened. And then like that guy loaned me $2 and I bought uninvited.
Well, of course he did, because he's fucking terrified of your crazy dad.
My dirtbag father.
Was are you Gary Creed?
A story for Bloodlines. Yeah, I was just gonna say that. A good episode for the Bloodlines episode.
Jesus, that's terrifying, man. That's not great.
Yeah, it was nothing from that 15 years or so of my life was super good. So God, I can't remember how we I got sad for a second and I lost my train of thought.
That's okay, because we probably just
Funcoland.
Yeah, we were talking about
Warleg. Now I'm happy again.
Yeah.
There we go. That's my happy thought. Just close my eyes and just see that
picture Warleg
over and over, and just I'll be your leg. I'll be your leg. Let's get into it.
Let's do it.
So these episodes we're covering the Phalanx Covenant 1 and 2. First episode, rushing to investigate the disturbance downtown. The X-Men find Sabretooth on a rampage again, but realize too late that it isn't Sabretooth at all. It is the Phalanx, a voracious alien life form that can assume the guise of anything or anyone. Before long, the X-Men are all captured except for Beast, who must find a way to stop the alien horror from devouring the entire Earth.
Yeah, sure. And we open on Sabretooth just fucking up a calamari truck, which I've never seen a calamari truck in my entire life, but man, he's fucking it up. Like, can you imagine?
He burst out of it like Kool-Aid Man. he burst out of a calamari truck that has a giant squid on the side, and only because I have these on the background usually when we record. One of the producers is named like Jim Calamari.
So this is probably some sort of
or Joseph Calamari. So it's probably a callback to that. But he's just doing Sabretooth shit. Like the main thing Sabretooth has done in the series has been like fuck shit up downtown so the X-Men can show up as an establishing.
Yeah. Like him and Juggernaut don't really have like a whole lot of plans for how to do anything in their life besides petty crimes.
You said him and Juggernaut, which would have been a real like different. Oh no, okay. I thought you were talking about Beast and you just called Jubilee Juggernaut. Because the people who, him and Juggernaut to show up. I mean, this Juggernaut robs banks. Like, Sabretooth is just killing cops.
He's just eating some calamari. He's just eating raw calamari.
He eats a bunch. He's all hyped up on squid, and he's going to kill some pigs.
Daddy needs his ink, bub. I don't know.
It's even better to drink it, frail. So they the X-Men decide to send Beast and Jubilee for some reason. Jubilee, who's definitely flying the plane, because I love Jubilee's training, and Beast decides to like just gas everyone, and sort it out later,
which is a baller move for Beast. Like he realizes that he's not going to have send Jubilee in a fight with Sabretooth, so he gasses literally everyone on the street, including the civilians. Like, super terrorist move, but I mean, also. Legit, like this is probably the best thing that they've ever done in this series.
I mean, that's the thing too, is like whenever the X-Men stumble upon a good plan in this cartoon, you have to think, why did you not do this every single other time? You know, because if you had this power over Sabretooth, like there was no reason to ever punch Sabretooth.
Why let him wake up? Like I know there's some probably weird moral grounds, but like they in the next scene they're going to capture and bring him back to the X Mansion with all of these. You know, he's going to be in this weird electric robot looking like shackle thing. Why not even let him wake up? Just keep him in the gas chamber. Like if it's not going to kill him, I mean, like just let him sleep.
Yeah, we're gonna get to some more of that at the end.
Mm-hmm.
I hear, but they get back and like for some reason Jubilee is the smart one in these episodes because she's like, "Hey, if Wolverine finds out Sabretooth's here, there's gonna be trouble." Wolverine hates that guy, and Professor X is like, "Nah, it'll be fine," and nobody is really getting it.
Mm-hmm.
That this is like kind of a shitty thing to do to Wolverine and that it's not going to work because he has super fucking senses.
Even Xavier's like, I can't think of a way to tell Wolverine this without causing a big fight. And I'm like, you are literally a telepath. Yeah. you are a professor of, something, obviously. Like you have a degree in something. What the fuck is wrong with you that you can't talk to your, like one of the people on your team?
One of your patients. Like calming down Wolverine is the reason he's here. Like, that is what you do. So it gets her, and Jubilee's just like, I don't know, again, Jubilee being the smart one. Xavier's like, oh, we can't do anything about it. Let's just go leave. Like we leave him in just a big room on the ground in these restraints. And then we get this close up on Sabretooth's eyes. He's got weird tech eyes.
Mm-hmm. And he starts analyzing this, apparently this computer lab that they put him in.
They put him in the server room.
I've never been in jail, but usually there's not like keyboards and screens in the jail cell. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. It's like, I don't like, nobody else is in the jail. It would have been great if they would have panned over to like just Juggernaut raging against a force field. Just like didn't have him there. When they come in, Jubilee and Storm are talking. They're just like, I don't know about this. They walk in on Wolverine in the kitchen. Wolverine takes a gigantic sandwich, like a huge, like one of those like $10 sandwiches you can buy from the deli at the grocery store, slams it into the counter, and is just like, I can't believe this shit. I'm gonna flip out and go kill Sabretooth. Like, it's really weird, but he made himself a sandwich the size of an infant before all this happened, which I really love. Like, I wish his day wasn't ruined and he got to hang out with that sandwich.
I mean, because that's the worst when you spend a little bit of time doing something for yourself and then it gets ruined somehow. Like, now he's just too mad to eat. Like, that's how angry this dude is, and that's a disappointment. Like, Gambit's gonna roll right back up behind him and grab that sandwich. It's not gonna be there when he gets back.
While the cat's away, Gambit will play share. Like, there's a depressing lack of Gambit in all of these episodes.
Did they just lose him? Did they lose the voice actor? Because he barely shows up in the ones we're talking about today.
He shows up in the crowd scene at the end of this one, but he's not really in it, and he's not wearing his coat, so that's weird. I made a fancy dinner for my girlfriend like a month or 2 months ago, and made enough for two, like just exactly enough for two.
No, you just made her dinner and just watched her.
Yeah, and just watched. But made a bowl and then just fucking dropped it on the ground, just like ate shit, like just wasted like this very, very fancy, like nice food I made.
No,
it sucked.
Have I ever this is totally off topic, but have I ever told you about the worst fight Autumn and I ever gotten into?
Mm-mm.
And it involves alcohol, but we were hanging out the house, and I don't remember how it got started or anything, but she was making some sort of pasta dish, and there was some sort of sauce, and there was something that she forgot to put in the sauce, and we had been drinking for a little bit, and she was just like, I can't believe I forgot that, like, she was going on about it, and I had apparently, like, not my usual steez, like, I was like, fine, whatever, like, we just don't even have to fucking eat it, and like, it was a giant pasta bowl, not a giant pasta bowl, but one of those like bigger pasta bowls, and I just kind of, I didn't throw it, but I kind of just like, I didn't set it on the counter either, like, I just like kind of put it on the counter, but it definitely like dropped a little bit. And I was like, fine.
You put it down with some force.
Yeah. I was like, fine, we don't even have to eat the fucking thing. Like, if it's that terrible, like if you forgot that whatever sauce it is. And she was like, well, fine, fuck it. And she just grabbed it and just flipped it in the middle of the kitchen.
Oh man.
And I stormed outside because I was so angry, and I was like, I'm just gonna I'm out. So I stormed outside, but I'm not stupid. So I'm not going to go get in my car and leave or anything. So I just like sat outside for a little while. And then I came in, and when I walked back into our house, I couldn't see her anywhere. So I just went to bed. I just straight up went to sleep. I found out the next day that she felt so bad about it that she spent the next 2 hours cleaning, thinking that I was still outside, and then went to look for me, and then got all mad at me again when she found me sleeping in the bed and having been asleep for several hours. So yeah, it was a whole thing.
Dang. Yeah, that's rough.
Yeah. Anyway, sorry, that was a severe tangent, but yeah, food breakages are very precious to me. I know how you feel.
Yeah, I was furious. I wasn't furious. I was just disappointed.
Yeah,
but it sucks to waste food like that.
Sure.
On accident.
I'm being dumb. Like, that's what it comes down to. Yeah, it's like, I was a dummy.
Exactly.
And
like,
this
was just me being clumsy. It was also my shitty apartment that has no counter space. So I like had it precariously perched because I have almost nowhere to put anything. Like, it was a meal that part of it, I use the crock pot, which takes up like 60% of my available space.
Mm-hmm.
So Wolverine goes to go, like, it doesn't, to his credit, doesn't just go slit Sabretooth's throat, which you might expect. He goes to, say like, hey Xavier, I can't believe you fucked this up. It shows them in the gym, and like
Rogue's like fitness, like Jane Fonda fitness workout outfit, I think is hilarious.
Yep. Like doing this like weird like mechanical resistance thing, and Xavier is doing like bars work like a gymnast.
Yeah, he even does a flip, like he flips into his wheelchair right here, which
that's an amazing scene. Like, I had no idea Xavier was quite that like nimble.
That's because we've literally never seen this dude move. He's always been in the chair. And I don't want to sound like ableist or anything right now, but like, isn't that dude like that dude's legs don't work? Don't you need like legs to get to do bar work? Am I wrong on that? Like, maybe like I'm not.
I would think so, for balance at the very least. Wolverine comes over, just punctures the hole in the wall. He's super pissed. I love it so much. He's just like, again, his claws like, I am going to summarily execute this person.
Mm-hmm.
Charles Xavier says, hey, he's under my protection. You'll have to go through me. Like, it escalates really fast.
It makes you think that we missed 5 episodes of Wolverine and Xavier fighting. Like, this has been going on for a while.
Well, not least of which because like this is the intended fucking order. And the last thing we had was like Wolverine being like, God, Charles Xavier is the most respectable man I've ever met.
That's true.
Like that was the last major thing we had of those two characters. And now it's like, oh yeah, motherfucker, you want to step? I will kill you. Oh yeah, I will shut down your brain. I will literally fry your synapses and make you like a vegetable for the rest of your life. Well, let's see if you can do that really quick, because I'm going to make you paralyzed from the fucking neck down. Like, like, goodbye Armtown, you motherfucker. Like, it's just them like saber rattling. And it's not like that would make sense if this was like a One Ring situation where Sabretooth's presence was a corrupting influence or something.
Mm-hmm.
Like that's a way you could go with this kind of invasion thing. And I'm kind of surprised the show hasn't really done that so much. Like that feels like a kid's cartoon thing where like something shows up that causes everyone to fight, and then they're like, oh no, it was just the ancient artifact, or it was the aliens' influence.
We got a little bit of that with what's the Egyptian mind dude?
Shadow King.
Like, what didn't Shadow King kind of pissed everybody off in their dreams or something? So everyone was like kind of rankled at one another. Wolverine.
Yeah, I guess they did do that a little bit.
Wolverine goes to confront Sabretooth and very quickly realizes, because he has super smell for some fucking reason. Can I tell? I don't know if we've ever talked about this. I hate that Wolverine can like has super smell senses. I think that's so dumb. Like, I can just track Bub. I mean, what?
He can smell a lot of stuff.
He can smell infrared, according to the show.
Yeah. He'll just be like, yeah, there's lasers. I can smell them. Like, he smells light. Like, he does a lot of shit. While this happened, I don't think we mentioned it. Compu Sabretooth is downloading the X-Men, and it shows a little montage of like videos he's downloading. And one of them is like Cyclops walking around the garage. Yep. And then we get Gambit playing basketball in one of our 2 little Gambit scenes. I do like that Gambit playing basketball. I feel like that's from that early episode where Wolverine just punctured the basketball when he didn't get a shot. So like, I like the lack of scale for things that Wolverine gets pissed off about. Like, this here, he's really justified. There, he definitely was not. Yeah, missed a 3-pointer. The things he was mad about in that episode was like not getting the shot, and the fact that the Morlocks would have the temerity to actually call them. Like, these wards will actually call us on the phone. Those scum-sucking sewer dirtbags. Like.
Wolverine hates the Warlock so much. I love it.
Yeah.
Xavier starts getting like this weird video call, and it turns out to be from Mr. Sinister, who is saying like, Xavier, you have to save us. These things broke in and they took over everything, and they're coming after you next. And then which takes forever to explain because they're doing like the cut in, cut out thing, and it just looks real goofy the entire time. And then we gotta get our first appearance of what Phalanx is going to look like. These black and yellow tentacle things.
Yeah, it's in the cartoons. It's never like quite this like liquidy. Like, it's much more like many more right angles and stuff, and looks a lot cooler. Or not the cartoons, the comics rather.
Yeah, the conversion to animation here just didn't work out because it just turns everything into like a weird slime monster, like a weird Technicolor slime monster, which is my new play on Broadway. If you want,
it's just, it doesn't look like technological the same way. Like, it's glowing, but it doesn't, and it's animated pretty well for being like rubbery and weird. Like, it actually looks rubbery and weird. I'll give it that. But it just kind of like, choke holds Xavier, pulls him off. Cut to Beast. Beast is listening to a record that says jazz.
I would have accepted now that's what I call jazz on vinyl, Gary. I think that would have been a good idea. This one just says jazz.
Big letters. It's like the generic. We used to, at a Jewel Osco, a grocery store in my hometown, they had generic liquors. So you could go into their liquor section and buy gin. And it was a white label with just big black letters that just said gin.
I love that.
And like vodka. It was amazing. Like, it was just like, vodka, Jewel brand. Like, it looked like you had like exchanged, war tickets or something. Like, you had like mine script to get this stuff. Like it was really incredible. So it looks like he bought his jazz from the Aldi's liquor store or the Jewel-Osco liquor store in my hometown.
I think I told you on that show, The Gifted, there was a scene where in the background where two characters are speaking to each other. There's just a box of ex-MREs. And I'm just picturing Kelsey Grammer as Beast, just loading up some boxes for these teenagers that they're going to send out to fight the Sentinel services and then disappear for some reason.
Make sure that they've got all of their meals ready to eat.
Their X meals ready to eat. Gary, come on. Yeah. So yeah, this phalanx thing infects Beast record player and like tries to get him through the headphones, which is the way that this thing takes over technology and everything, and it's just super weird and kind of dumb to me.
So it can move through. It's like just like, again, it looks just like alien slime. It turns into a shitty robot that chases him, which like this is more or less what the phalanx looked like, except just like less fuzzy and liquidy, you know. It chases him and tries to fight, and he recognizes it almost immediately as like a corrupting like thing. So he runs from it, sends these tentacles from it. It's kind of a cool like Beast action scene, you know, because he's being super agile and getting away. He barely escapes and finds out that by this point, this phalanx has already caught all the X-Men. So already we're in for a Beast episode.
And I actually like the visual on this because we get this black and yellow. I have to start dropping in black and yellow samples throughout this entire episode. I can already tell. But we get this giant like black and yellow blob, and like all of the X-Men are in these weird transparent like bubbles. Like they're trying to absorb the X-Men, and it's not working for some reason. And of course, Wolverine is the last one, you know, fighting for his life to get out of this thing.
Mm-hmm. And he even says to Beast like, "Hey, get out of here. Go get help. You know, don't try to help me now. Try to help. Go get help." So Beast gets out of here.
Yeah. He jumps outside because he's being chased by this thing, and then like finds a little bit of a sample on this thing of this phalanx, and when he tries to pick it up, it just starts trying to reabsorb with everything else, and then like this team of scientists come up, and
I love this so much.
These definitely look like AIM guys, right?
Yeah. Well, it's very creepy. Like this whole scene where they kind of walk up, you know, on them, like they're all wearing those jumpsuits and stuff. They look a little bit like AIM, like they're yellow suited. And there's a lot of like people making deductions in this episode that like is supposed to be, since this is science smart nerd team, but like a bunch of them are dumb. This one is fine. Like he's like, "Hey, there's no vehicles."
Yeah. And how did they get here so fast?
Yeah. So I got to go. He gets into a Jeep.
Gary, can we talk about how like was Jeep like a product placement thing? Because they've been riding around in a lot of Jeeps in these episodes lately.
They do love Jeeps. Like the X-Men love Jeeps. I think it's so you can see
who the characters. Like they don't have to draw them inside something, which is probably way more difficult than it sounds like.
Yeah, and just so you know, you get to recognize. You know, you get to see the characters. So it seems like it's a good like kids vehicle. You know, vehicles for kids. And that's why all the Power Wheels were Jeeps. He's driving away. He drives past one of the phalanxes. It turns out that his gas can was a little tiny warlock in disguise. because if you're going to be a shapeshifter, you can't shapeshift into anything that's animate. It has to be an inanimate object that nobody would suspect. Well, they quite can like shapeshift into things that are inanimate as well. Like one of them, Warlock's girlfriend is a waitress later. Oh, I know.
Like I have some severe issues with the way this thing resolves. We're going to get into them pretending to be animate people, by the way. But yeah, I'm like making the joke of like none of these shapeshifter people like seem to realize that they can just shapeshift into whatever they want to. It's always something weird and dumb.
Yeah, like a leg. The way he gets away. So Warlock is trying to he like puts his foot on Beast foot on the gas, you know, trying to get him to drive faster. It's still not fast enough. He grabs Beast back and turns into a jetpack. And flies away while they have this exposition dump,
which is
about who Warlock is,
which is kind of cool. Like I like the idea of some like this thing just kidnapping Beast via jetpack. Like
just like click, I'll be your jetpack. And just like the way like Warlock's design in this, like it does not translate very well. Just because of the softness of the animation and lines, like his dreadlocks look really dumb on the cartoon, I think.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Whatever his weird substitute for hair is, and that voice, like we just like the way he does his robot speak does not translate well. So he's pretty annoying the whole time he's on screen, but it makes sense because Beast is very annoying as well.
I haven't looked at it yet, and I probably should have, but it really seems like it's the same voice actor as as our idiot friend from the Bishop's Time Imp guy. Like it seems like maybe it's the same dude, just doing kind of a different voice, because it's got that same cadence and rhythm to it that's just it's really annoying really and grating. Too, yeah.
So we learn about Warlock, and Warlock says he is the heir to the Phalanx. It is a techno-organic race that decides to absorb and conquer planets. Warlock, however, is a pacifist, but they stole his girlfriend. His girlfriend, his life mate, left and crash landed on Earth. So that is why the Phalanx are here, and that is why Warlock is here.
I don't expect this 1990s cartoon series to be like up on, gender relations in 2018 or anything, but they go to all of the trouble to use the word life mate, and then they just gender the fuck out of these alien robots. Like, his life mate has tits, Gary. Like, they animate her with tits, and it's ridiculous.
Not only that, but she doesn't get a name. Like, she's only referred to
that's right.
She's only referred to as Warlock's girlfriend. It's like when you'll see that on Twitter, it'll be like successful MBA person's wife does amazing thing, and it's like no, they get names.
Yeah, this I don't know if you follow Kumail Nanjiani, but like he actually like tweeted at the Washington Post and was like, "Hey, like my wife has a name and she's not just the inspiration; she's the co-writer of the movie. Like maybe you could put her name in the headline." And they did, thankfully, but it's just it's still happening today. Yeah, Warlock's girlfriend, life mate.
They get this flashback where it's the two of them on their like shitty planet where everything looks like this, flying out, like using their goo arms to steer, like essentially rob the robot from like this weird like vertical spaceship. It looks like an NES accessory.
I really don't understand this either, because we're like the Phalanx is going to be explained as something that basically removes choice from people. And like it's just going to be, it's going to be all one entity, and everything's going to be the same. But I'm like, well, these two motherfuckers just
Phalanx
left.
Aren't like that, or again, none of the people are like that. Like in the Phalanx, it's pretty ridiculous. But like the nice thing is here during this flashback, we see them loading life mate and all this material into calamari trucks. So thus why Sabretooth, calamari,
sure,
Phalanx.
I like this, like
Sabretooth calamari Phalanx.
The long con of Phalanx pretending to be Sabretooth robbing a calamari truck. Like that's a very like alien interprets something valuable. Wow,
humans love that food.
That's sometimes they love it so much they pretend that they don't know what it is when their people are trying it for the first time.
Weird. Like, so first one of these callbacks here that's super weird is they're going to a laboratory. Beast is like, "Hey, I have a lab there. It's the eye clinic."
It's the eye clinic from like the season 1 where he meets his girlfriend.
Where's the blind girlfriend? Yeah. The blind girlfriend. Nothing more said on that. But he maintained the lab. The biggest thing here that was annoying to me was like, so they in the lab they video call the president. They're like, "Hey, these Phalanx are bad news." The president says, "Okay, I'll be there to save you too." And then Warlock in this like, Sherlock move is like, "Why did he say you too? There's only one of us. You did not mention me." It's a video phone.
You were behind Beast's shoulder, Warlock.
Yeah,
the entire time.
Clearly visible from the video screen. Like he's right there.
Yeah, you haven't gone through the whatever that thing that they go through where they're not visible onto like electronic forms of media anymore.
The Siege Perilous.
You haven't gone through the Siege Perilous. Like they can fucking see you right now.
There's a part, not only that, but there's a part where Warlock, his eyes turn into like binoculars that like get between Beast and the president from off camera. Like he's very clearly there. So at the end when he's just like, does again this like dumb deduction thing, like, the president said this. Why would he know there are two of us? He knew there are two of us because you're there. I mean, they're right. Like he's right that the president has been assimilated, but he not for the right reasons. Like they didn't put in the work. It's extremely dumb.
And you skipped over like a good 4 minutes of Beast talking about assimilation of different organic materials. It looks like someone just got a thesaurus and just went to the 5-syllable section and just went fucking crazy.
Astonishing. Assimilation occurs rapidly in metallic substances, but more slowly in non-metals. Living tissues are also assimilated quickly, yet mutant tissue seems somehow immune. Does this assimilation occur independent of conscious thought?
Oh no, self-friend Hank. As with the Phalanx, every part of self...
So the takeaway here is that they can absorb inorganic matter very easily. They can absorb humans, but mutants take a while. The end. But Beast, it takes forever for Beast to say that.
Mm-hmm. Since Beast can't get in touch with the president, or since the president has been compromised, he decides to call the next best person, which is Forge.
Next best president, which is Forge, which made me think, cool, this is going to be an X Factor crossover.
Hell yeah. I was excited.
Like Beast, yeah, me too. Like Beast as a guest star with X Factor, like doing superhero stuff. That's not what we get.
Nope.
I also, man, the fact that he calls Forge from his backpack, like communicator, and why did he have to go to that lab? Like you could have called the president from anywhere.
Well, we kind of skipped over that too, but like as he's leaving the X Mansion, like he doesn't bother to get any kind of weapons or anything. He just gets his science backpack.
Yeah, he has a science backpack. He calls Forge. He's smart enough to say like, "Hey, will you know if Forge is real?" And he says, "I will in person." So like, okay, we have to risk it. They decide to meet at this fucking diner.
Yeah, just chilling in a diner, like in full outfits.
Yeah, like what is this? Like, and also in here we realize we get our cutaway to the actual phalanx here, which are creating something called the Spire, which is them taking over the Empire State Building to make more phalanxes. This is real creepy. Like the phalanxes now look like weird worm trees. Like there's a tree phalanx with tons of faces on it.
Yeah.
That's like pretty weird and spooky.
I kind of dig this. Like this seems like some of the spookiest stuff the show has ever done. Like these faces are very, very creepy. Like this is very H.R. Geiger via Saturday morning cartoons.
And this is where we learn, this is where we first see Cameron Hodge, is the guy. And this is true to the comics. Like he got resurrected by the phalanx in the comics. But here it's like he didn't really die during the Genosha arc. He just disappeared for a long time and came back as a weird phalanx worm.
Oh boy.
Yeah. And he's like nothing to the people in the cartoon. Like it was a big deal when he showed up in the comics. Like he was a major antagonist. In the cartoon, he hasn't shown up since season 1. And even then, like he was kind of a non sequitur. He talked with that little like Lord Fauntleroy.
Yeah, like
the leader or whatever.
And I'm glad we got some like you said at the beginning of the episode. Like I'm glad we got some conclusion to this. I guess like I didn't need this at all.
The first and last step. Yeah, the first step is that he runs Genosha. The last step is that now he is a half machine, half man hybrid monster.
I guess we did get step 2 because don't we see like him and what's his name Trask in like that Brazilian hut where they're arguing over who's going to cook the fish.
Is that Trask and Hodge, or is that Trask and the other guy? I think it is Trask and Hodge.
Yeah, it's somebody associated with the Sentinels.
I caught it. You clean it.
Exactly. It says a lot about these episodes that it reminds us of better episodes of the series.
Totally. So they go to this diner. They go to Sid's Grill to meet the rest of the X Factor there. And Forge, does not bring everybody, but there's a mysterious character who leaves on his way out when they come in, who is very clearly Mr. Sinister.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
So Mr. Sinister's there already. The waitress is just straight up giving Quicksilver and Forge coffee, like they're people.
Well, I mean, this has got to be their regular spot, right? Like, hey, Beast called us. Like, let's go to Sid's and get a cuppa. Like, right? Like, this is what they're doing. This is what they always do. So
they're sitting there. They kind of just like do nerd talk, like they plan for a little while.
Mm-hmm. None of it is very good or interesting. But of course, the Phalanx shows up and just immediately assimilates or absorbs Forge's leg. Just like immediately, just takes it away from it. Because
they show up as a crowd first. So like they're a crowd of like zombie people essentially, and then the waitress turns up. Like the one who turns up to absorb Forge's leg is the life mate.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Who is now under control of the Phalanx and is now the waitress mate, and takes Forge's leg. So they turn into a big monster. Like they're going to chase them out. The crowd of Phalanxes burst in. Beast does carry Forge for a while. Until eventually they, we get Warleg.
So
this great sequence.
Before we get really into Warleg, though, like when they're leaving this diner, Beast saves the day by throwing a grenade in it behind him.
Grenade into the diner.
It's one of my
killing all these people who have been assimilated.
Beast's superpower is just throwing grenades at things behind him as he leaves through a hole in the wall. Like, that's what he's doing during these episodes. And Forge does this whole thing of like, I don't have a leg, leave me behind. And they're like, no, you're super smart. We have to have you.
Well, and also like we're also superheroes. we're not gonna do that. Quicksilver's like, I'll go get the van. Runs in.
I'm the fastest man alive. Let me go get the Ford.
Yeah. So he runs to go get the van. The van is, of course, a phalanx, which means Quicksilver gets absorbed instantly, which is important. Mr. Sinister shows up since he was in disguise and gives his like weird bio ship to have them get picked up.
Yeah. And this is where we see the actual Spire, and the Warleg starts explaining like, oh yeah, they're going to use this to transmit to.
There's a part when God, I have it on the background. About 18 minutes into the file, I have Warleg, while he's still in leg mode, sticks his head out of Forge's leg, and the three of them have a conversation with his like head sticking out of Forge's leg. Oh, it's real good. And like, imagine, like, can you stay still while that was happening? Like, imagine a face like came out of your leg, Jeremy. Even if, you know, just like started talking to somebody else. Do you think you like, what do you do during that conversation?
I would hit
conversation.
I would hit it immediately. Like, it would be like if I stepped in an ant bed. Like, I would just be smacking my leg constantly. Because you know it has to itch, right? Like, it has to be crazy itchy in there. Yeah. This whole thing's like just completely squicks me out. I don't like it at all.
Yeah, the idea of Warleg and Warlock and Warsuit and him just kind of forming, because like in the comics when he hung out with Doug Ramsey, he became like a backpack and shit like that. Like at some point they had like a weird mecha suit from time to time, but for the most part he was just kind of an accessory. He didn't, you know, purely coat one of his self friends or become the limb for one of his self friends' limbs. It's extremely weird. And somehow, like, the only sensible one here is Mr. Sinister, who's like, we got to actually go.
Yeah, we need to leave, please.
Yeah, like, there are phalanxes about stop expositioning for once in your life. So they get on, you know, Mr. Sinister's gross spaceship.
Yeah, what is up with this thing? Like, is this comic book canon? Because I don't remember him having like a whole like tree ship. Because that's what this feels like on the inside. Is he's just let some trees overgrow or something? It's
full of science slime. I don't actually know if that's. I remember seeing something kind of like this. You know, in the comics, Warlock builds a leg for Ford so he can have autonomy and not have to serve anymore. And on the way out they see the Empire State Building, and
that's where they explain what all the Spire is and all of that stuff.
Oof. And a bunch of people look up at the Empire State Building. They've already been turned. Like, shit's kind of bad. And then we go into episode 2 here. Snatched from the jaws of the Phalanx by the villainous Mr. Sinister, Beast and Forge search for allies to help them battle the alien threat, gathering assistance from such unlikely sources as Magneto and Sinister himself. I don't know if Sinister searching for an ally makes Sinister unlikely. They embark upon a daring and risky plan to free the planet from the clutches of the Phalanx by traveling straight into the belly of the Beast. Kinda.
Sure. Okay.
Okay.
Boy, this is a bunch of science team, huh?
Yeah, this is the nerd. Like, this is so fucking nerdy, man. Like, nobody gets to do any cool superhero stuff during this episode. And like, you'd think that would be a cool idea because, you know, it's important to be smart as well as strong. Let's ignore the fact that like Beast is strong and mostly fights things by tossing grenades at them. But like, it ended up making for a not great episode of this cartoon.
Because for the first like 3 or 4 minutes, they were just like talking about absorption rates and, you know, how stuff is going to interact differently. And then they decide to go to Muir Island, which is the exciting part, which I've never said before in my entire life.
This episode gives you course credit. Like, if you watch it, like you get course credit in science. Like, this counts as science 90 at a community college. So they decided Beast can't raise anybody, which is the scary part. Like, the Phalanx is like literally everywhere.
Yeah.
We cut back to the Phalanx for a little while, and we get Cameron Hodge as his weird snake form. And he's, you know, just taunting Beast. This is where we find out that it's Cameron Hodge, I think.
Yeah.
And he kind of explains a little bit of the Phalanx's plan here. Like, he explains more of it later, but I think he gives a little bit of it here. You know?
Yeah, and he just basically, he's talking to Wolverine, and because Wolverine's all trapped up in this, and it's like, oh, you have the healing power, so, you know, you're going to be vital in our studies, which is like X-Men villain shit 101. Like, Cameron, you should have already known this. Like, if you're going to fuck with the X-Men.
It's such a weird trope of this cartoon, because, like, Wolverine's healing blood ends up being the MacGuffin for, like, a lot. And there are a lot of mutants that heal really fast. Like, or a lot of superheroes that heal really fast. Like, that happens quite a bit.
It comes up in the fucking Gifted, dude. Like, this came up as a plot point. Like, we got this from somebody who heals real fast, like without naming a name because of legal rights. Yeah. And I'm like, okay.
You mean Sabretooth, Deadpool, Wolverine, Captain America, Thor, Hulk, like literally every Avenger pretty much except for Hawkeye. Like, so they go to, I'm just noticing this, like I put these on mute in the background. I didn't make note of this. I wish I had. They go to Muir Island. Muir Island has 4 helipads.
Oh yeah. It's got like a whole thing. Cause all Muir Island is a place for the X-Men to go to. Like, it's like a destination vacation.
And if they don't want to, if they all want to take separate helicopters, they can.
Sure. Cause I mean, it's, if Xavier's out of cars one year, right? Like, he's going to give away a helicopter.
Yeah, everyone gets a Christmas bonus. Of a carocopter, and just like the idea of Muir Island being able to have 4 separate helicopters laying there at once, like they all have huge H's on it. It's very funny. It's the 4-H club.
It's the 4-H club. That's what Muir Island is. Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah. Beast runs into Amelia, who we met way back in the Asteroid M episode, where and it was Xavier's former lover / fiance, and now she's interning at Muir Island, which seems like a downgrade from supervillain to hang out on the asteroid.
She just hangs out at Muir Island where nobody takes off their costume. I don't know why she's here. Like, I don't know what plot purpose she serves in this. Like, at one point she has to turn into gas to go under a door, but surely like a grenade would handle that.
The only thing I can think of is because she's going to eventually lead them to Magneto, right? Like, and I guess that's her only purpose, is to figure out where Magneto is, because they're going to need Magneto for all of these crazy plans.
But I mean, they could have handled that in any way possible.
Oh yeah, you didn't need to bring in Amelia, and you could have literally you could have done this with Lorna Dane, right? Like, I think Lorna Dane would have been a perfect stand-in right here.
And it has been like on Muir Island.
Yeah.
She's such an intern that they literally okay, we're going to need an analysis on this, and Beast hands her like a set of beakers, gives her a job. Like, it is like really undignified. And one of the things I love about this sequence is Banshee just like not having anything to do.
Oh yeah, he's just roaming around, like he's just like, you know how the first time anybody has been on on video, they don't know what to do with their hands. Like, that's Banshee throughout this entire thing. He just has no clue.
Go boil some water, Banshee.
Yeah, make sure we have warm towels.
Yeah, it's really dumb. But again, they're just kind of testing. Like, they're testing and talking. Essentially, they come up with their plan here, which is to create a virus that will fuck over the Phalanx Covenant if they can trick them into absorbing it.
Mm-hmm.
But they actually have to trick them into doing it, and that's kind of where they end up, because a bird comes and lands on their jet and absorbs their jet.
Sinister's jet, to be specific.
Yeah, Sinister's jet becomes a Phalanx bird jet, and they get attacked.
Yeah. There. Which is fine, because like that's kind of what this is, but then it doesn't matter because they just run to Moira's plane. Like, Moira's like, oh, I've got one of these over here. Don't worry about it. Also, what is happening with this plane transformation sequence, by the way?
I don't know. It's a weird dinosaur thing, like it, and then turns into a gigantic mega phalanx. Here they're all shooting it. Nothing's happening. Science crew leaves Moira McTaggart and Banshee there.
Oh yeah,
like they don't come. Like, they get chased in, they do this fight, it's, nothing really happens, and they're just like, okay, get absorbed. If we're successful, everything will be fine. If not, welcome to the Phalanx. Like, there's no reason why they wouldn't take them with. Like, it is really, really dumb.
The only good part about this is we get Banshee's great scream. It's not quite as mixed loud in the audio as it was when we first meet Banshee. But yeah, it's definitely, it's in there.
Yep. And it doesn't do anything to the Phalanx, because the Phalanx are somehow, I guess Moira comes with them. Banshee stays.
Their Phalanx is immune to sound. That's why it doesn't work. Phalanx turned off its microphone. Moira tries to leave with him, but gets caught up when Banshee gets caught up. She goes, and then Sinister is just like, "Fuck you, get the fuck out of here. We gotta go."
You idiots. It probably doesn't feel great to be assimilated. Like, if Warleg itches, like, your whole body would itch if you were assimilated.
Can we talk about when this dude busts into the hangar when he says resistance is futile?
Yeah, that's real on the nose.
Is it like that in the comics too? Because I've read some of this Phalanx stuff way back when, but I mean, like, it's like they don't lean so far into the Borg stuff in the comics, do they?
No, they were. It's definitely inspired by the Borg.
Mm-hmm.
Like the way that they're supposed to look, the kind of busy circuitry look, is inspired by their ships and stuff. But and they are assimilating, but I don't think it is quite as on the nose in the comics.
Okay.
It's been a long time since I've read it though. Watching these did make me want to reread it, which is weird. I was like, I read that. I could stand to read that again.
You're just in a terrible X-Men media mode, though.
I'm in an X-Men fugue state. Like it is. Like I got a bad case of the X-Mans. Can we talk for a second? So Amelia's like, I know somebody who can help.
Mm-hmm.
Can we talk for a second about like Magneto's fucking Fortress of Solitude?
I love
that he has
this
in the middle of the Antarctic.
I fucking love this entire thing where he's just hanging out. I love that his whole outfit. Like he's bearded Magneto, and we already know that I am extremely attracted to bearded Magneto. We've covered that before, but his whole outfit is just bright red until he puts the cloak on, and the cloak is what like gives him all of the purple accents. I love that shit. That is great. But he's
just casual Magneto sitting in like this chamber with a picture of the globe and all these maps around, not planning anything though,
just sulking, just looking at what he can't have.
Man, if you look at the first panning shot where they show him, he has a sword on the ground. What's Magneto doing with that sword?
Anything
like,
he fucking wants to, Gary. It's his Fortress of Solitude.
He was contemplating slitting his own throat with it or something before they came in.
Yeah.
Like I think that was a shot used from something else, and they decided to turn it into Magneto.
He's very sad.
He's also put on like conservatively 60 pounds of muscle.
My dude is working out. Like he's in jail. Like this is self-imposed jail where all he's doing is just working out and sulking about what he can't have, which was Asteroid M. He basically just says like, ever since I've got Asteroid M taken away from me, I don't want to do anything anymore.
I don't want to live anymore because my gigantic name asteroid died. So I'm going to build another asteroid on Earth in the middle of the Antarctic and hang out with my sword and my muscles and just sulk for eternity. It's very funny and very like, but he's super mad because Sinister's there, and last we knew, Sinister, of course, tricked him into
working for Apocalypse.
Was part of tricking him into thinking he could bring his wife back.
Mm-hmm.
So he's very depressed. B says like, hey, your wife might be, that might be true, but what about your son? They've got Quicksilver, and presumably your other daughter.
What about Scarlet Witch, everybody? Do we not have the rights to that anymore?
We didn't check in about her, but presumably they have the rest of X Factor, so probably.
I got to gift this transformation scene, by the way, when he lifts the cloak up. Yeah, that's real cool. That's legit.
Yeah, it's great. So he's on the team, and like once you have Magneto on the team, things are going to go well. They go to this. Is this supposed to be Muir Island?
I don't know, because they flew to the Arctic, and like this looks like everyone's dressed for the cold, so I don't know where the fuck this is supposed to be.
But the grass is green and stuff like, and Amelia Voigt was in the Antarctic and just had her arms crossed. That was protecting her from the cold.
The wind wasn't blowing, Gary. Come on, the wind chill is not a factor.
Yeah, the wind chill it's only zero. But
so I have a question, because this is the first time that we see Phalanx pretending to be humans just running around. Like, why are you doing this? Why are you pretending to be a cop walking around the streets? What is the purpose of pretending to be fishermen? Like, what? It doesn't.
That's what they want to have. It's all started with the calamari thing, Jeremy. Like when they say they want to have everyone be the same, that's what they mean. Everyone be involved in the production, packaging, and consumption of fish.
They just want to revitalize coastal fishing. We're going to bring money back into the coast.
It's pretty much what it is. It's the Phalanx origin. We actually, if you watch that episode where Wolverine goes and does chores in Alaska, one of those fish has a tiny little glint in his eye. That was the beginning of the Phalanx invasion.
The glint in the eye wasn't added so much later when they released it on DVD. By the way, it was a retcon.
Yeah, it's like it's a George Lucas-esque.
Exactly. This is the equivalent of the fat slug, not Boba Fett. Walking around. I don't know if you've seen those versions. By the way, it's fucking terrible.
Job of the Hutt. Oh yeah, I did. Like that was back. It's far be it from people to believe this, but there was a time where I was like pretty excited for those.
Mm-hmm.
Like I never loved the original trilogy, and like kind of my lukewarmness on it comes from watching them as an adult. But like as a kid, I liked them. And then when they did those remakes, I was like, oh, I want to go see those in the theater. That's cool. And all my friends were real into it, so I had some like secondhand excitement.
Mm-hmm.
And went and saw them, and they're just like worse versions. And then I went and saw the first prequel in the theater. I saw all the prequels in the theater, like, cause I just had people around me who were excited about it, but I never liked them. Like, I was just like, I don't think this is very good, but everyone, it's hard when everyone's just like, let's go see this thing. It's like, no, I'm not go see the thing, So I saw 6 seven Star Wars movies in the theater.
You did your time, is what you're saying.
I did my time, man. People think that I don't like that show because I haven't seen it or I don't, I'm not paying attention, but I put in my time. To disguise himself as a fisherman, Magneto wears Warlock.
Warlock. We got a war suit going.
Yeah, he becomes the war suit, and it also has him stick out his head and talk again, which again has to just be the weirdest fucking thing, man. Like if your shirt just forms a second head and it's just like, hey man, what up?
I know having two heads on one body isn't like the most original thing in the world, but all I could think of during this scene is how much I wanted this to be the two guys from the Adventure Brothers that are on the evil council. Yeah, like it gives that same kind of vibe to it. They're there to like use Magneto's magnetic powers to capture a sample, an actual sample of phalanx, so that because basically they haven't really been able to capture one. They've only been able to do models and tests to see if this virus works, and they can only make like 6 doses of the virus for some plot reason that I don't understand. Yeah.
And also for some reason, Warlock won't count as something they can use as a sample. The phalanx guy that they hang out with doesn't count. And I don't know if they actually explain that.
They don't at all. I don't understand. I guess maybe it has to be connected to the home office somehow. I don't.
It's on a different network.
Yeah, I guess so. Like it's 192.168.2 instead of 192.168.1.
So they put him in like a little magnetosphere, which turns into Cameron Hodge's mini head like a mad ball.
Yeah, I don't understand how this works. Like this sounds so terrible.
But one of the things I like about this episode is Cameron Hodge like is actually like a pretty fun villain in this. Like he's teasing them. He's not quite like Mojo level, but he's like making jokes and kind of teasing them, and essentially like, has a sense of humor about it.
Mm-hmm.
Which is real in line with the comics, where like in the comics he betrayed Warring Worthington and betrayed X Factor and stuff, and was just kind of shitty. But then as he got more and more inhuman, like at one point he gets his head cut off and it's like kept alive by a robot body, and then he gets taken over by the phalanx. And as that happens, he gets more and more cynical and like Joker like almost.
Yeah.
Like more nihilistic, and this follows that pretty well.
I decided to turn this on in the background too, so I can kind of keep up with you as we're looking at notes as well. And boy, is this scene taking forever. Like Cameron is just going on for a while.
It's the Science Squad, man. Like once you get the Science Squad, it's all this talking action in these episodes.
The conclusion of all this is that they administer this virus thing to the Cameron Hodge face, and it just turns into like a piece of wall. Like that's it. And everybody's really excited about this because apparently they have invented something that's going to turn everything back to normal, like which is the best thing to invent if you can invent something.
Yeah, they invented a wall. So after like no longer holding up their ceilings manually.
Mm-hmm.
They show up, and then we cut away to like Hodge Worm talking, and here's where we get Gambit. There's like a pretty cool scene of like Gambit fully phalanx covenant up with his like trench coat and shit. And Cameron Hodge absorbing his power and like throwing a playing card.
I like that they've absorbed his power and his passion for playing cards. Like they're not gonna
throw anything.
It could be anything in there, but he's just throwing cards at Gambit, which is also very funny. But yeah, we basically get the whole explanation of they've used Wolverine's tissue for healing or something, and that's how they're going to absorb all of mutants, and they're going to start with Xavier because he's a telepath and he can do Xavier stuff to let everything else go faster. Like that's this whole plot.
Make everyone submit to their will.
Mm-hmm.
So they plan out their assault. Sinister, Forge, and Amelia teleport in with guns and just start like Forge sets up a force field and stuff, but they're there to kind of do this assault to save people.
I actually kind of dig this. Like as plans go, like as an X-Men team plan, like, and I realize we're barely have any X-Men on the frame right now, but as an X-Men team plan, like breaking up into 2 teams, saving specific members so that they can they specifically go for Lorna Dane and Jean Grey, knowing that their power is going to be useful as for defending them while they break out their Cyclopses and somebody else for to use as offense. And I think that's actually like a really smart plan. Like it's really well done.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Like Lorna Dane.
Mm-hmm.
Is it Dane? That's right.
Yeah, Lorna Dane. Mm-hmm.
Okay, for some reason I was getting Laura Dern. I kept trying to say Laura Dern, which is incredibly different. It is very smart. Like she's got magnet powers. She should be able to win.
Lorna Dern would be a great Lorna Dane, by the way. That we'll never see that happen.
That's very good casting.
Mm-hmm.
They'll never make another adult X-Men, and like they're soured on that. I like the kid X-Men, but I would like to also see like them show up as like statesmen.
Yeah,
like they should do kid X-Men, but not the same characters. do the kids and then have the adults be there. So like you have Laura Dern as Lorna Dane, like teaching a class or something.
The current chick playing Lorna Dane in that show is all right. Like I'm not as into that as the Jay and Miles group is, but yeah, they like it's okay, and like that chick does a really good job. So
yeah, I will watch that at some point.
Yeah.
The
Team B
free Cyclops immediately tries to blast off Sinister's head.
I love it. This is a good reaction.
During these 5 episodes, Cyclops is extremely Cyclops. Like he's very on brand.
Oh yeah,
himself.
Absolutely.
It's big Cyclops. Like he immediately and just starts yelling, and no matter how many times they tell him like, no, Sinister helped us here, he still is like furious. Like that scumbag. He's just like, yeah, like that piece of trash. Like he's just, which of course he is. He keeps breaking up his marriage.
I was about to say he's only had 2 weddings, and Sinister fucked both of them up.
Yeah, 100% of his wedding.
But our team B, which is Magneto, Beast, and Warlock, are kind of they sneak into the core. They don't sneak in, but they just blast themselves into the core using.
Yeah, Magneto turns his energy into a drill.
Yep, because that's how magnets work.
Magnetic energy. Yep.
But this whole thing is a feint to, and they let Phalanx kind of like break into their energy shield, and so Warlock can pretend to leave so that he can be reabsorbed, and of course Warlock is carrying the virus.
But that's the thing, is that it wasn't just absorbing Warlock, it's Warlock breaks open a canister that sprays energy on the tower.
Yeah, also that,
so it's like
but
they
I don't
just done that at any point. Like they went through all this stuff about him having to sacrifice himself. He's had to sacrifice shit. He just opens up a canister.
In his stomach, by the way. Like I think that's the best thing. He just kept this canister in his stomach.
In his stomach pouch, in his belly room, in his vor pouch. And does it, and like he's fine. Like he wakes up, he's okay. It just like they just had this grenade they could have thrown at the building at any time, and like Beast knows how to do that.
Yeah,
it's
superpower.
It's extreme. Like it is a good plan, except for the fact that they spend all this time talking about what they're going to do and then don't have to do it.
This when they showed this whole thing, the only thing I can imagine, the justification for that is they have to do it at the core or whatever. Like maybe that was like the central whatever. But after they show the Empire State Building like turn from Phalanx mode to Empire State Building mode, and then they just show like some people in the street walking around with briefcases that are all Phalanx stuff. Again, Gary, why?
What are they doing?
What is Phalanx civilian going with? Where is he going with that briefcase?
Because we kind of glossed over it, but like one of the unending exposition scenes in this has Cameron Hodge explaining their goal. And the thing is, they want to wipe out diversity. Like human experience is too diverse because of genetic, diversity. Like people end up all different, and we want to make everyone the same. So there's no more problems. And Cameron Hodge is okay with that for some reason. But I guess like life with no problems is everyone just kind of walking aimlessly as their jobs.
I guess what a great utopia that I still have to walk to work. What a great utopia that I still have to work.
Yeah, you still have to wear clothes. Like you still have to do everything. It's very it's very strange. They get it. Warlock reunites with his life mate, who is fine. Everything is fine. They show the crowd reconvening. Gambit lost his coat.
Yep.
I don't know if you noticed that, but like for some reason, like Phalanx kept that. Like we're taking this back into space. Like this shit's cool.
Yeah, we've never seen trench coats before. This is legit.
Yeah. And Xavier's like, we all came together to face a threat bigger than ourselves. Magneto's like, nope. Everyone acted out of self-preservation. Sinister's a piece of shit. Like Magneto is right as always. During this.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
And Sinister does. He just leaves. He just jets out right before Cyclops starts looking around and going like, "Where the fuck is Sinister? I'm going to kill him."
Yeah. I'm gonna blast him in the face. He runs behind a building.
I know. The exit scene from here is so great. It cracks me up so much. He just turns around and jets.
2 seconds of like him over Cyclops' shoulder, like dashing into an alley. He's gonna put back on his weird like Vampire the Masquerade disguise costume.
It's really good. And why does Jean stop him? Like Jean's just like, oh no, don't go after him. I'm like, he's still a supervillain, y'all. Go get him.
That's the thing, is that like, as I was gonna say at the end of this, is like you guys are acting like Mario Kart. Like it's just like you have the ability. I'm not trying to sound fascist. Like I'm not saying you have to summarily execute Sinister, but like do something to take away his powers, keep him in jail forever. Like try to reform him, do something. Like instead of just like we're going to let him go just so he can cause trouble, like down the line. That happens in comics a lot too. Like there are recurring villains, but it's like you'll do a Sinister arc and then there'll be years between the next Sinister arc. In the cartoon, it's just comical that like Sinister just showed up. Like if you have, literally the last episode, we were dealing with Sinister and they just decided to let him go because no reason.
Yeah, for absolutely no reason. Like put some handcuffs on him. Like,
yeah, like I'm not saying you have to like take justice into your own hands. Put him in a field. Put him in that server room where you kept Sabretooth.
Well,
like
obviously
least, like,
they're not going to do that again.
Like just try though.
This is something that I want to say I've talked about this on the podcast before, but the TV show The Flash does this. Like they have a whole illegal prison for all of the metahumans that they keep finding and locking up, which raises a bunch of questions like how do those people eat and use the bathroom and stay clean and all of that stuff. But like they just have like a giant room and they can punch it up like it's a fucking vending machine. Like A26 brings up, Shark Man or whatever. And like I feel like the X-Men should be doing that at this point. Like I'll wave away all of the basic necessities and just be like, yeah, he's not planning anything against us if he's in this jail cell that we can only we have access to.
I mean, and like the Marvel universe does that.
Oh yeah,
just for some reason the X-Men don't.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just like it's like trying to bail water with a colander. Like they just every time they scoop Sinister back into the pen, he just falls out to cause trouble and ruin another marriage. Like if I were Cyclops, I'd be pretty pissed as well.
Oh yeah, but I'd be pissed at Xavier. Like,
exactly.
Hey Xavier, like, fry this dude's mind, make him into a child.
Graduation day, like is all of them with like pillowcases full of bars of soap, and they just like body Xavier.
What was
and that's graduation.
You
day.
Can't handle the truth. What did they call it? The red letter or something that they attacked that
dude. The squeaky clean good night. I don't know what they call it, but the just like every one of them walks up, says, "Hey, this is the thing that you did that was terrible, that ruined us and made caused this misery, and for that, wham, wham, wham." And then just Xavier cries. He's alone. The camera pulls back. The credits start as he is alone in a mansion that has been wrecked by his surrogate children who no longer love him. End series.
There you go.
Graduation day.
Yeah,
I'll take it.
I mean, just getting these people out of circulation, I think should be priority one. Like. If you want to fix human mutant relations at its core, like take away all of the bad mutants. Like that's a pretty easy sell. And again, there's some gray issues like that. Not all mutants are very bad. Not all mutants are good. Like there's going to be some gray issues, but I think like Mr. Sinister can definitely be quality, objectively bad. His name is Sinister.
Again, like it's not about like just destroying these people for doing nothing. It's like try to reform them. Like even if you're saying like, hey, I do not want to just like murder those people or put them in jail forever for being shitty. Like make them, again, try to reform them. Like it should be like, hey, we're going to hold on to you and try to teach you or try to like restore, restorative justice, as opposed to what the X-Men do, which is like reactionary nothing.
Mm-hmm.
Like this is old comic book stuff. Like this is the premise of a lot of different comics where like superheroes start trying to be more proactive and it usually goes wrong, is the moral of those comics. But here it's just like, man, watching all these episodes in short succession, like you just gotta,
it's very bad.
Do something a little bit better.
Yeah. And it's like, this is kind of a bummer ending too. Like for me, like there's just like, again, and I think we talked about this in the last episode, nothing changes. Like nothing, like nobody is different after this. Forge presumably has a new leg. Like that's as different as we get in this.
Yeah, and it looks functionally identical to the old leg,
and
functionally identical to the Warleg.
Yeah, it's not quite as cool colored. Like he's got to get a paint job on that bad boy pretty soon.
Legs go round and round in Phalanx Covenant. I don't like. There's stuff to like about these episodes. I got bored with Science Squad.
Yeah.
And
the exposition, I think, is some of the worst that we've ever seen.
The exposition is very sloppy and direct. And the next two are not better. The other one after that is thankfully a little bit better, I think. But again, I fear that we are past the era of real good episodes of this show.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a bummer. The next two we're covering, though, are Super Bonkers. So join us in 2 weeks for those. They are very weird. They are like an episode of He-Man crossed with an episode of Star Trek Next Generation. And if you're thinking neither of those shows are X-Men shows, you're right.
Absolutely.
It is not an X-Men. It's barely an episode of the X-Men.
It is all over the place, and I can't wait to talk about it. It's going to be very crazy. Until then, what should people do to help support the show, Gary?
Well, the main thing you can do is head on over to patreon.com/Duckfeed.tv and kick us a few bucks a month. This show was a Patreon milestone goal. We have future milestone goals. We will continue to have future milestone goals. You get a bunch of cool stuff like early episodes and access to Slack and everything if you do choose to support us, and we really appreciate it. It is a big deal, even if it's a little bit of money. You do $1 a month, $2 a month, makes a big deal.
It does.
Makes a big difference.
If you can't do that, spreading the word about the show, telling your X-Men friends, leaving iTunes reviews or ratings really helps us. I actually went through the reviews that I have access to, and all of them have been really positive. And so thank you very much for those that have done that. We really appreciate that. That's very nice of y'all.
It's very sweet, and it helps people learn about the shows.
Absolutely, because iTunes sucks.
iTunes has a weird algorithm that is just like attention. It just assumes that people want to hear about things that people already know about.
Did you
kind of make sense
that iTunes released or now gives you stats for your podcast directly from Apple, and it's only it's neat, but it's only people that have that are listening on iTunes version 11 or 12 and then iOS 11 iPhone people, and I'm like, okay, so 2% of people that are listening to these shows. Thanks, iTunes, we really appreciate that. Anyway,
that's silly. Everyone could have done that. So
if you want to talk to us on Twitter, the podcast Twitter is at DOFCcast. That stays a future cast. Actually, now that I've thought about that, I think it's DOFC podcast. Never mind, because otherwise it'd be like an ATM machine. It wouldn't make any sense. I am at JG Greer on Twitter if you want to talk to me.
Yep, I'm at Gary Buh, GaryBuh. If you mention something from the show and I don't remember what I said, don't be offended. I just record a lot of podcasts, so every once in a while that'll happen. So I'm like, hey, remember this? And I'm like, or usually there'll be no setup, and it'll just be like, it's actually this, and I'm like, what's actually this? I'm
gonna need time.
It's not annoying. I just don't. It's not annoying. I just don't know what you're referring to. So, since I record so much, but so I'm not. I know when it happens, I don't respond directly. It's not me being rude.
Well, this show specifically, because we usually record it anywhere from 2 to 6 weeks ahead of time. So by the time people are getting into this, I have killed all of those brain cells with new information, so I don't remember anything. Thank you, everybody, for listening. Like we said, we'll be back in 2 more weeks to cover some X-Men, and until then, happy Warleg, everybody.
Yeah, everybody shake a Warleg.